The Old Testament, God's promises to Abraham. Who is Abraham, and what promises did God make to him? The first two chapters of the Bible, Genesis chapter 1 and 2, tell us that from the very beginning God blessed and intended to keep blessing people. But we read in chapter 3 that the very first people break God's instructions, and so spiritual and physical death enter the world. Sin becomes the rule rather than the exception, and we hear in chapter 5 the drumbeat of the consequence of sin in every generation, and he died. To God's great sorrow, by chapter 6 the whole world has become corrupted by sin, and God takes drastic measures. He floods the world and essentially starts over with one man, Noah, who found favor in the eyes of the Lord. Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Over time, and generally speaking, Japheth's descendants settled toward the west, Ham's descendants settled in Canaan and Africa, Shem's descendants were the Semitic peoples who settled in the Middle East, and from whom came Abram, also known as Abraham. Skipping ahead, we read about Abraham's descendants. His first son Ishmael is the forefather of the Arabs and the Bedouins. His second son, Isaac, had twins. The older, Esau, became the father of the Edomites, and the younger, Jacob, whom God renamed Israel, is the father of the Jews. Like Noah, Abraham stands out because of his faith in God. See the video, Abraham Lived by Faith. And so God makes 3 wonderful promises to him in the first part of Genesis chapter 12. The Lord said to Abram, "Go from your country to the land that I will show you. I will make of you a great nation. I will bless those who bless you, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. To your offspring I will give this land." So we see promises of a great nation, and of a land, and a promise to bless all the families of the earth. The fulfillment of God's promises to Abraham essentially serves as an outline for the rest of the Bible. Here's a timeline to illustrate their fulfillment. The promises were made in about 1875 BC. These promises were not to all of Abraham's descendants. They were repeated only to his son Isaac and to his grandson Jacob. The promise of a great nation was fulfilled as God rescued the Israelites from Egyptian slavery, gathered them around Mount Sinai, and gave them the 10 Commandments and the rest of his law, about 1445 BC. The promise to give his descendants their own land was fulfilled as the new Jewish nation conquered the land of Canaan according to God's instructions and by his help through about 1000 BC. The promise to bless all the families of the earth was finally fulfilled in the ministry of Jesus about AD 33. So who is Abraham? Well, he is the physical ancestor of many of the Arabs and of the Jews, and as such he is also the physical ancestor of Jesus Christ, who was born a Jew. But while both Arabs and Jews physically descend from Abraham, people from any of the families of the earth can become spiritual children of Abraham. How? Romans chapter 4 calls Abraham the father of all who believe, specifically us who believe in him who raised from the dead Jesus our Lord, who was delivered up for our trespasses and raised for our justification. Romans 4 verses 11, 24, and 25. Whoever has faith in Jesus can call Abraham his or her father and partake in the promised blessing.